Buying a newly constructed home it often feels like sitting down to play this high-stakes game of financial chess.
Oh, absolutely.
But the catch is, nobody bothered to tell you the rules. And like half the pieces on the board keep changing shapes right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, that is a very accurate way to describe the modern real estate market. It's just this highly dynamic, constantly shifting environment where, the variables are almost entirely out of the buyer's control.
Exactly. I mean, you find a piece that looks like it perfectly fits, say, the ideal floor plan or the perfect neighborhood for your family.
Right, the dream home.
Yeah, the dream home. But then the macroeconomic winds shift. The interest rate jumps a quarter of a point, or the builder's timeline gets delayed by like 3 months.
And suddenly the math doesn't work.
Right. Suddenly that perfect piece doesn't fit your financial picture anymore. And for you, the listener, trying to navigate this landscape alone can be, honestly, incredibly overwhelming.
It really can.
But today, we are doing a deep dive into this August 10th, 2026 update from New Home University, or NHU.
Right.
Our mission today is to uncover how prospective home buyers can unlock what essentially acts as a critical cheat code to solving that real estate puzzle. We're talking about a $1,500 to $5,000 NHU grant.
Which is substantial.
It is. And maybe even more surprisingly, we're going to look at how a massive international expansion is completely reshaping the real estate journey for everyday buyers. So, okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even start with a grant program of this size?
Well, I think we start by establishing the baseline of what this August 10th update actually entails. So due to continued growth and the expansion of their internal support systems, New Home University has significantly expanded its grant program.
Okay.
Qualified families may now be eligible for grant awards ranging from $1,500 to $5,000. And this represents one of the largest enhancements to the program since it launched. Now, of course, this is subject to program guidelines, funding availability, lender approval, specific eligibility requirements. But the sheer scale of the financial assistance being offered is, frankly, substantial.
I mean, up to $5,000? That is not pocket change.
No, not at all.
When you're buying a house, especially your first house, liquidity is literally everything.
Right, because you need cash on hand.
Exactly. That $5,000 represents your closing costs. Or it represents the moving trucks, the new appliances, or, frankly, just the peace of mind that comes with not totally emptying your savings account on closing day.
Exactly. It's a buffer.
Yeah, a buffer. But to really understand how this works, we have to look at what NHU is actually offering beyond just the cash, right?
Precisely. And this is where the traditional model of real estate gets turned on its head a bit. The NHU grant is actually just one piece of a much larger educational ecosystem.
Okay, the educational ecosystem.
Yeah. The primary purpose of New Home University isn't just to hand out money. It is to teach buyers about the realities of new home construction opportunities. They're focused on educating consumers about very specific, highly impactful variables.
Like what?
Things like builder incentives, particularly when working with major national builders like D.R. Horton and Lennar Homes.
Which are massive players in the construction space, by the way. I mean, they build entire master planned communities.
They do. They're huge. But NHU goes further than just pointing buyers toward those communities. They are providing education on new home versus resale comparisons, exploring builder financing opportunities, and mapping out potential monthly payment savings.
So it's not just here's a house.
Right. They are essentially trying to build a fully informed, financially literate consumer from the ground up before that consumer ever signs on a dotted line.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here on behalf of the listener.
Sure.
Because when I hear educational ecosystem paired with a cash grant from a real estate entity, my radar immediately goes up.
That's fair.
Is this just a financial gimmick to push a quick house sale? Like, here's $5,000, now quickly buy this specific house we want to offload so we can hit our quarterly numbers.
Well, what's fascinating here is that NHU's internal framework explicitly instructs consumers to avoid that exact mentality.
Really?
Yeah. Their internal messaging and calls to action tell their teams to drill a very specific phrase into the buyer's head, and that phrase is, do not just look at the price of the house, look at the whole opportunity.
Look at the whole opportunity.
Right. They're actively discouraging the quick transactional mindset that you're talking about.
Sure. I mean, look at the whole opportunity is great marketing copy. It sounds really nice on a brochure.
Uh-huh.
But practically speaking, how do you actually prevent a buyer from getting blinded by a shiny $5,000 check?
It's hard.
It is. Human nature is to take the free money, even if the underlying math of the mortgage doesn't really make sense for their family long term.
You prevent it by pulling back the curtain on how real estate math actually works, which is exactly what their education platform does. A gimmick relies on distraction, right?
Look at the shiny object over here.
Exactly. You wave a shiny cash grant to distract the buyer from a high interest rate or a bad long-term investment. NHU's approach is the exact opposite. They are saying, here is the grant to help with your upfront costs, but before you use it, let us teach you how the mechanics of builder financing actually work.
Okay, break that down for me. What does that actually look like for the person listening right now?
Okay, let's use a real-world example. Say you're looking at a $400,000 house. If a builder drops the price of that house by $5,000, your monthly mortgage payment barely changes.
Right, it's basically a drop in the bucket.
Exactly. It might go down by maybe $30 or $40 a month, but builders like Lennar and D.R. Horton often own their own mortgage companies, and this means they can offer what's called a rate buy-down. Instead of dropping the price of the house, they use their internal funds to permanently lower your interest rate by, say, 2 full percentage points.
Okay, wait, let's do the math on that because this is where the light bulb goes on for me.
Let's hear it.
If you have a $400,000 loan at a 7% interest rate, your principal and interest payment is going to be somewhere around $2,660 a month.
Right.
But if that builder financing buys your rate down to 5%, your payment drops to about $2,147.
Exactly. You are saving over $500 a month.
Wow.
Over the course of a single year, that is $6,000 in cash that stays in your pocket.
That's crazy.
In year one alone, the savings from the builder's financing incentive exceeds the flat $5,000 price cut. Over a 30-year mortgage, you're talking about saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest.
And that is the distinction between a transaction and an education.
Precisely.
If you're an uneducated buyer, you demand the $5,000 price drop because it feels good in the moment. It's instant gratification.
Right.
But if you're an NHU educated buyer, you take the builder's financing incentive to secure the lower rate, and then you use the $1,500 to $5,000 NHU grant to cover your closing costs, essentially attacking the affordability problem from both ends.
That is precisely the mechanism. The grant is the key that gets you in the door and preserves your liquid savings, but the financial education is what actually keeps you in the house long term and prevents you from becoming house poor.
That makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
But here is the logistical hurdle. To offer up to $5,000 to families across multiple U.S. markets and to provide this deep mathematical level of education to every single applicant, that requires a massive infrastructure.
It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, you can't just run that out of a small local real estate office with like 2 agents and a fax machine. To deliver this at scale, without people falling through the cracks, NHU had to make a really bold operational move.
They did. And that brings us to the operational engine making all of this possible. The August 10th, 2026 update didn't just announce the increased grant amounts. It announced a major structural milestone. New Home University has expanded its internal operations internationally, specifically into the Philippines.
Which is a huge leap for a real estate organization. I mean,
Yeah.
Real estate is historically very localized. It's usually about the agents in your specific zip code.
It is a strategic leap that borrows from the playbook of major tech companies, honestly. This new Philippines team is designed to work alongside the United States team to improve communication, education, and overall operational excellence.
Right.
But what is really crucial here is the specific infrastructure they're deploying. They are combining experienced human professionals in the Philippines with advanced artificial intelligence and smart systems.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because if you are the listener right now, and you're elbow deep in Zillow listings and mortgage applications, you might be wondering why an operations center in the Philippines matters to your house hunt in Texas or Florida.
It's a valid question.
But think about the anxiety of the underwriting process.
Mm-hmm.
It often feels like a black box. You submit your W-2s and your bank statements, and they seemingly disappear into a void.
The waiting game.
Yes. You are waiting on loan approvals, your pulse is racing, and you have this terrifying question about your debt-to-income ratio at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday.
And everyone is asleep.
Right. The problem is your local real estate office closed at 5 p.m. By expanding globally, NHU is essentially solving the time zone bottleneck.
That is exactly the friction point they are eliminating. For the prospective home buyer, this international expansion translates directly into tangible, immediate benefits. Faster response times are paramount.
Yeah.
Because you now have a highly trained team operating across multiple time zones, that 8 p.m. panic question actually gets answered. Documents are processed overnight. It means expanded customer support and relentless follow-up throughout the entire home ownership journey.
And the AI systems are acting as, like, the ultimate traffic cops, right? They're catching the routine logistical stuff, like making sure a signature isn't missing on page 42 of a contract, routing the complex financial questions to the actual human experts, and just ensuring no one's file gets stuck on a desk.
Right. And from a broader organizational standpoint, this scalability is what makes the NHU education platform viable in the long run.
Oh, so.
Well, when you have an international team handling the efficient administrative and marketing support and artificial intelligence automating the logistical bottlenecks, it frees up the organization's human capacity.
Ah,
They can now educate significantly more families across additional states and markets without sacrificing the quality or the personalization of the service. It basically creates a stronger, more resilient foundation, not just for today's buyers, but for future grant opportunities and community partnerships.
It's about building a machine that can handle massive volume while actually improving the human touch.
Hmm.
But a global mission control center is only as good as the people sitting at the consoles. You can have all the AI in the world, but real estate, especially when you're dealing with a family's life savings and 30 years of debt, requires serious, top-tier human expertise.
Ah.
And looking at the profiles of the people heading up this international presence, NHU isn't just hiring entry-level customer service reps.
Not at all. They are recruiting highly specialized talent. The organizational updates introduce us to Tess Rama. She is a licensed Philippine real estate broker and a broker associate with Keller Williams Manila Bay. Now, I do want to make a careful objective note here.
Sure.
Keller Williams Manila Bay represents an important real estate connection as NHU develops its presence in the Philippines, but it is a relationship being actively developed. It's not an official, finalized NHU corporate partnership at this stage, but rather an alignment of top-tier talent.
Right, so it's about building a network of elite professionals across the globe. And when you look at Tess Rama's background, elite is definitely the right word. Her resume is incredible.
It really is.
Before she even entered the real estate industry in 2012, she spent over 20 years working in high-level banking across the Philippines and Asia.
And 2 decades in banking provides a radically different lens through which to view a real estate transaction.
Oh, totally. Let's use an analogy here because I think this is vital to understand. A traditional real estate agent is often like an interior decorator.
Oh, okay. I like this.
They are great at showing you the nice countertops, pointing out the natural light, getting you excited about the neighborhood. But someone with 2 decades of high-level banking experience, that person is like a structural engineer.
That's a great way to put it.
They aren't looking at the paint color. They're looking at the load-bearing walls of your mortgage to make sure the entire financial structure doesn't collapse on you in 5 years. I mean, Tess Rama wasn't just a teller. Her banking experience covers business loans, branch banking, credit and risk assessment, distressed accounts, and complex financing.
And we need to pause on that specific experience. Credit, risk, and distressed accounts.
Yeah, that's heavy stuff.
It is. When someone has spent years managing distressed accounts, they know exactly what causes a foreclosure. They have analyzed thousands of failed financial structures. They know exactly which debt-to-income ratios fail when the economy tightens, and they know which loan products are basically ticking time bombs.
Because they've had to clean up the mess after the bomb goes off.
Precisely. So when a professional with that background transitions into real estate, they reverse engineer the entire purchase process. They apply that institutional banking knowledge to protect the buyer upfront.
That is so valuable.
It is. And as you mentioned, she brought all of that with her into real estate. Her current real estate expertise covers a massive spectrum. Buyers, sellers, investors, property flipping, foreclosures, deal structuring, title transfers, estates, and property management. And she is operating across major dynamic markets like Manila, Pasay, Makati, Pasig, Mandaluyong, and Antipolo.
Wow. Looking at that scope of work, she sounds less like someone who just unlocks doors and hands you a flyer, and more like a high-level financial architect.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, the sentiment surrounding her work from the sources sums it up perfectly. She understands more than houses. She understands money, loans, financing, investments, and real estate as an interconnected web.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you start to see exactly why New Home University is seeking out professionals with this specific, highly technical profile to anchor their international expansion. NHU doesn't just want salespeople. They want financial educators.
Right, because the entire premise of the NHU grant program relies on the buyer actually understanding the math. If NHU hands a family a $5,000 grant, but the family gets put into a terrible loan structure by a predatory lender, the education has basically failed.
Exactly. A traditional real estate transaction is often highly compartmentalized and, frankly, disjointed. The realtor finds the house, the lender handles the money, the title company does the paperwork, and they rarely talk to each other in depth.
It's a mess.
And for the buyer, it is just one massive, confusing, terrifying transaction. By aligning with professionals like Tess Rama, someone who blends on-the-ground real estate acumen with deep structural financing knowledge, NHU is building a global network of people who can structure better, safer deals.
That makes a lot of sense.
They can look at the builder incentives, evaluate the fine print of the loan terms, assess the long-term investment value of the property, and guide the buyer through a truly holistic financial decision.
Which brings up the ultimate question for you, the listener. We talked about a lot of complex moving parts today. $5,000 grants, rate buy-downs, AI-powered international operations, and elite banking experts in Manila.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. So how does all of this actually impact the everyday family just trying to buy a three-bedroom house in a good school district in the U.S.?
Well, it impacts them by completely elevating the standard of support and the actual outcome of their purchase. NHU is building an ecosystem that combines 5 distinct interlocking pillars: real estate, education, financing knowledge, technology, and international relationships.
Okay. And when you integrate those 5 things successfully, the goal of the organization fundamentally shifts. It is no longer just about closing a single real estate transaction and collecting a commission.
So what does this all mean for the future of home buying?
It means we have to look at New Home University's core mission statement. New home, new health, new wealth.
Yeah, okay.
The ultimate goal of this massive infrastructure, the grants, the late-night AI support, the financial education, it's all engineered toward creating healthier families, ensuring long-term financial stability, and building lasting generational wealth.
Generational wealth, that is the phrase that totally changes the game. I mean, real estate isn't just a place to put your couch. Historically, in almost every modern economy, it is the primary mechanism everyday families use to build wealth to pass down to their kids.
Absolutely.
It is how you fix your family tree. But the old, localized, disjointed system made it incredibly hard to break into, especially if you didn't already come from money or, possess a degree in finance.
Right. It was a closed loop. Yeah. What NHU is doing is building an opportunity platform that levels the playing field. They're saying, we are bigger than one house, one city, or one state. We are an education platform first.
Exactly.
We will teach you the math behind interest rates. We'll demystify how builder incentives actually work. We'll use an international AI-supported team to answer your questions 24/7 so you never feel abandoned. And we will give you a cash grant to get you across the finish line.
That is an excellent synthesis of the ecosystem. It's a comprehensive global support structure designed specifically to empower the consumer. However, this does raise an important question of logistics, and we really need to apply some critical thinking here regarding the expansion into the Philippines.
Let's hear it, because with any massive expansion, there are always caveats.
Right. While the international growth is absolutely vital for scaling NHU's operational support and educational capabilities, there is a crucial nuance that must be understood. Expanding operations to the Philippines does not mean every person living in the Philippines automatically qualifies for the NHU grant to buy a home locally.
Ah, right. It is a back office and operational expansion. It's not a blanket guarantee of real estate funds for everyone globally.
Correct. Eligibility, location availability, and specific program guidelines still strictly apply to the grant itself. Furthermore, it is vital to understand the chain of responsibility here.
Okay.
Neither Keller Williams Manila Bay, individual brokers like Tess Rama, nor the builders themselves like D.R. Horton and Lennar are the ones providing or guaranteeing the NHU grant.
So it's all on NHU.
Yes. The grant is strictly an NHU program. The international expansion is about connecting people with qualified professionals to discover what opportunities and systems actually exist in their specific market. It is about building a global network of operational expertise. But the financial realities of the grant remain subject to NHU's specific lending, geographic, and availability criteria.
That is a really important distinction for our listeners. You can't just assume the money is automatically yours because you heard a deep dive on it. You have to actively go through the process, engage with the education, let them look at your financial structure, and see what you actually qualify for in your specific area.
Exactly. You have to do the work.
Which brings us to the most practical, actionable part of this discussion for you, the listener. If you're sitting there right now, maybe a little stressed about housing prices, and thinking, okay, a $1,500 to $5,000 grant to help me buy a new construction home sounds exactly like the cheat code I need to get my family into a house. How do you actually take the first step?
Well, the process is designed to be highly accessible, and there is a very clear step-by-step call to action. To find out if you qualify for the NHU grant, and to learn how their educational ecosystem might work for your specific financial situation, the first step is to message them directly.
Okay, how do they do that?
You need to type the exact phrase NHU grant, all one phrase, and text it to 301-509-7138.
I'll repeat that for anyone driving, at the gym, or taking notes. Open your phone and text the words NHU grant to 301-509-7138.
Yes.
And you can also directly call Jubral Wilson, who goes by Coach JB, and the New Home University team to have a real human conversation about the grant and find out what specific new construction opportunities and builder incentives are currently available in your local market.
And if you want to do some research on your own first, which is honestly always encouraged when making a decision of this magnitude, you can visit their website at newhomeuniversity.com for additional information, program details, and to start reviewing the educational materials they offer.
That's newhomeuniversity.com.
Right. But I will provide one final necessary reminder regarding the realities of real estate. Grant availability, eligibility requirements, mortgage rates, builder incentives, available services, and geographic coverage can and do change frequently.
Yeah, things change fast.
The real estate market is a fluid, living thing. Therefore, you must verify all current programs, rates, and requirements directly with New Home University before making any final financial or real estate decisions.
Always verify the math for yourself. Never take anything for granted when it comes to a 30-year mortgage.
Couldn't agree more.
But as we wrap up this deep dive today, I want you to think back to that incredibly frustrating, shape-shifting puzzle we talked about at the very beginning. Buying a home has always been complicated. It has always been stressful. And for decades, the rules of the game have been heavily stacked in favor of the industry insiders.
Yes, very much so.
But if a global network blending advanced AI technology with decades of high-level banking and financial risk expertise is being built right now specifically to help everyday families educate themselves, protect their wealth, and buy their first new construction home.
Well, what else about the traditional, outdated real estate model is about to be completely disrupted?